Good morning, y'all. So today we're gonna do something a little different. We're not chasing trains today. We are going out on a hike. I'm up at, it's called the Cheaha Trailhead, and it's right off of Highway 281, just right here. Um, if you're coming up from the east side of the mountain, it's about a mile before you actually get up to the state park. Anyway, check it out on Google. It's actually called the Cheaha Trailhead. And what we're gonna do is I'll walk up here and look at the map. All right, so just inside the nice little trailhead gate they have here. Here's the map. And what we're gonna do is we're right here. It says you are here. So we're gonna follow this is the Cave Creek Trail. All right, we're gonna come on down here. And it pretty much just follows the side of this ridge with not a whole lot of elevation gain until you get about right here. And then it goes up. It's just a steady climb of maybe half mile. Nothing crazy. But then you just pop over this ridge. And in the winter, this is really nice because you can see both sides because you're actually on top of the spine of this ridge here. And then you can see this is the Pinhoti Trail. And then we're going to take this. And it loops around here. And then it goes out to McDill Point. And once you kind of pop over this ridge right here, you can actually see the rock outcropping that is McDill Point. And of course, we'll go over all that when we get there. And then we'll pick the Pinhoti back up, follow this loop. There's a pretty good climb here, Hernandez Peak. It's pretty steady for maybe a half mile. It'll wake you up if you aren't already. And then coming back here, take this little connector and we'll be back here. All right, let's get started. All right, so about 50 yards in, trail is just right over there. About 50 yards in, you're gonna come up to this big junction. Going up, that's the way we're gonna come back. And we're gonna turn left right here and follow the Cave Creek Trail. And you can't do anything out here but walk, and that's fine. I don't want to run into any horses, mountain bikers, or ATVs because I don't want to get ran over. I've done this loop maybe a half dozen times, and I brought I think my son was maybe 12. We came out and overnighted on McDill Point. It's not terribly technical. There's no, rock scrambling, hand over hand kind of thing. It's a pretty steady hiking trail. Anyway, I haven't been hiking since last October. Me and the fellas went and did about 50 miles of the AT up in North Georgia and had an absolute blast. And we've got another trip planned for next month, actually later this month now I'm thinking about it. And so I got to get my hiking legs back under me. And anyway, so as we get down the trail, anything of interest pops up, I'll point those out. There are several little stealth camp spots along the way. There's a creek crossing, the aptly named Cave Creek. So we'll point that out when we get there. And I got to turn my GPS watch on because if you didn't track it, it didn't happen. Let me handle that, and we'll catch you up the trail. So at about a half mile in, we came down from this direction. There's a stealth spot down off on the left side. You can see there's a camp ring down there, and a little side trail here. And there's no water around here, but it does look like there's a couple of tent spots and several hammock spots down there. And it's about a half mile in. One thing I neglected to mention is today is Wednesday, April the 1st, 2026. I stepped off on the trail at about 7:30. It is 63 degrees. I'm in shorts with a base layer and a thin hooded t-shirt type shirt on. And one trekking pole. When I'm backpacking, I carry two, as my Durston X-Mid 1 is a trekking pole tent that requires two to set it up. So anyway, that is the current situation. I'm about 6 tenths in, southbound on the Cave Creek Trail, and currently we are socked in. I left home in the dark. It's about an hour and a half drive for me to get here, and it was foggy all the way up. So I had to be extra particular on the drive, especially getting up on these curvy mountain roads. But anyway, again, that is the current situation, and I'll get back with you. Just wanted to show y'all this. This is about as technical as anything you're going to see in this area, on this trail anyway. A little bit of an uphill with some rocks to kind of negotiate. Put your feet in a good spot and you'll be all right. No big deal. Maybe this fog will go on and get out of here. We've got a spot coming up in a mile or so maybe with if the fog will clear out, it'll be a pretty good view. If not, that's okay. There'll always be another one. Yeah, spring is in full effect here in central Alabama. Easter is this upcoming weekend, and pollen season has not let us down. Yeah, it's been rough on the allergies again. That's part of it, though. Just never really get used to it. So we are 1 mile in, and still just steady. This is kind of what the trail looks like. Kind of rolling and back and forth. No big deal. Whoops. Pick your feet up, son. All right. 1.3 miles in. There's a sign for the Cheaha Wilderness. Don't let that word scare you, boys and girls. Wilderness. Yeah, you're out here. But, depending on who your carrier is, you still have cell signal. So there's that. I guess when I think of the word wilderness, it goes back to maybe some of these TV shows I saw as a kid where somebody is out literally in the wilderness and having to forage for food just to survive. That kind of thing. What do you think about when you hear that word wilderness? All right, 1.5 miles in. I always thought this was kind of a neat little spot with this green tunnel. With, I guess they're mountain laurels. They kind of grow over the trail. I don't know if they're mountain laurels or rhododendrons. I think rhododendrons have longer leaves. Whatever the case may be, I always thought this was kind of a neat section at 1.5 in. And if I'm not mistaken, it pops out on this rock outcropping. We're still on the east side of the ridge. And I had the thought in my mind of getting up early enough and getting out here and catching a sunrise here. I'm glad I slept in an extra hour because there's no sunrise. We're all socked in, but we'll take you up here and show you kind of a view. Watch step. All right. There's your view, ladies and gentlemen. All you bird watchers out there, what kind of bird is that? Got a lot of words this morning. All right. Not much to look at here. Right now, I guess it's more of an auditory spot, which is just fine. And this is 1.6 in. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so one thing to note when you're at this outcropping, Cave Creek Trail comes up this way. You turn around and you look, you see the trail going up that way, but that is not the way. This is the way. It always confuses me because I come up here and I always walk out here, take a look around, and I step down and turn around and I see this trail going up this way. Not the way. This is the way. All right. Better get to stepping. All right, at between 1.9 and 2 miles in, there's a camp spot right here. I'll walk up and take a look at it. I've thought about doing this loop backwards, camping here and catch a sunrise. There's a flat tent spot right here and plenty of places to hang a hammock. Let's see. It's a flat-ish spot back there. There's a flat spot right here. And the great thing about this spot is if you're not socked in, you can catch sunrise. Speaking of, the sun's trying to peek out. So if you do this loop backwards, you're about 2 miles of straight cruising to get back to your car. I mean, look at the track here. It's nothing to it. And if I remember right, water is about 0.4. So if you're coming the other way and you hit Cave Creek, easy for me to say, you hit Cave Creek, go ahead and water up, and then you're all set for camp. So, for what it's worth. I just had to stop and look at this tree. Kind of weird looking. Let me back up a little bit. There we go. Just over 2 miles in, and there should be a right turn right down here. You don't want to miss it. One of the first time, I think probably the first time I came out here, I missed it. Ended up off trail. This is another camp spot just over 2 miles in. This may be the one I was thinking about, because you're right on the edge of this ridge. Put a tent here. Yeah, this is a spot where I made a wrong turn. I went off down that direction. You don't want to go down there. So anyway, it's a little rocky. There's another tent spot down here. Big fire ring. Need some work with that. But yeah, you string a hammock here and wake up with the sunrise. Also, these signs are really easy to miss because they're about hip high for a short person. And it will show you Cave Creek. That's northbound. And we are southbound. So yeah, I made the mistake and went straight down there because I missed this sign. It shows we go this way. I think Cave Creek is just down in the maybe 0.1 or 0.2. I'll show you when we get there. All right, walking down to Cave Creek, you can hear the water running, and it's 0.1 maybe after that last camp spot. One thing about hiking these trails is usually when you pass water, you'll come up to a camp spot pretty quick. Makes sense, right? So, got water here. It's a nice little spot to hang out, honestly. And it's kind of down in this notch. So we're about to start climbing a little bit. And let's see if I can cross this without dropping my phone. Well, that's kind of slick. Let's walk right through a spider web. I guess it's gonna go for a walk with me. All right. Yeah, so Cave Creek. All right. Now it's kind of a steady climb up to then we go over the top of the ridge. I always watch my steps, stepping over logs like that. You never know, there could be a snake hanging out on the other side of it. I'm always particular with that. Haven't seen any yet, but it's so early in the season, and it was a little cool last night. So they might still be hunkered down, although it is warming up. Slight little technical section here. Just mind your step, no big deal. All right, fog's slowly burning off. You can see a little break in the trees right there. That's where that campsite was we were just at. All right, let's get on up this thing. All right, checking back in. We're at 3.2 miles. Still on this climb on the eastern ridge, and we should be coming up on the Pinhoti Trail connector. And really all that does is just take you from the east side, which is Cave Creek Trail, over to excuse me, the west side, which is the Pinhoti Trail. But what's interesting is, and you'll see when we get over there, it is a minefield of places to turn an ankle. It gets really technical in some spots. I'm not gonna say I've hiked a lot of the Pinhoti. I've probably put 30, 40 miles on it in different sections. But what I have done, that approach to McDill Point on that western ridge, is you really got to be paying attention to what you're doing. And it's kind of a grind through, I don't know, it may be a mile of just trying to find the trail in places. But yeah, you've really got to pay attention. And you can see this section is fairly smooth. Just slowly working our way uphill. It's starting to get a little warm. Probably gonna come out of this base layer soon, so whatever. All right, I'll check in when we get to the connector. All right, we're almost to the Pinhoti connector. This is where we came from. It's a steady uphill. I'm sitting at, let's see, 153 beats a minute. Yeah, so anyway, and one second, let me get the distance. Just over 3 miles in, if you come straight down Cave Creek from the parking lot, it's where the Pinhoti connector is. Now, that goes to Nubbin Creek. And to be honest, I don't know where that goes. Yeah, anyway, still goes southbound. So the Pinhoti connector turns right, and all it does is just goes right over this ridge and picks up the Pinhoti Trail. So still got a little bit of a climb to clear the spine of this ridge. So I'll just let y'all walk up here with me. Yeah, it's not a hard climb. It may be half a mile, 3/4 of a mile from where you cross over Cave Creek. And hey, we're up in the cloud now. Whoops. Pick your feet up, son. Sometimes I'll stop up here and take a break. I might actually do that and just grab some water. I haven't done that yet. So, yeah, anyway. Looking off to the east in the fog. And that's looking to the west in the fog. But yeah, we're right here on the spine of this ridge. That's north. And that's looking south. All right, I'm gonna grab some water and we'll get to stepping. All right, boys and girls, we are now on the west side of the ridge. The connector comes down this. Ugh. All right. Let's walk down here very carefully. Oh, there's so many places to slip, trip, and fall. Don't want to do that, especially since I'm out here by myself. Okay, we are now on the Pinhoti, and I have done most of the section from Cheaha Trailhead to Adams Gap. I've got like a mile that I'm missing. Basically from where the Odom Scout Trail hits. I had come from Adams Gap up to Stairway to Heaven. I went all the way up that and then turned around and went back down. I think it was 8 miles total. Anyway. So now we're on the Pinhoti heading northbound. The Pinhoti is marked by these blue blazes. And the first time I came out here, I guess it was 6 years ago. Dude, you could barely follow this thing. Like, you see this faded blue blaze underneath the new one. You probably can't even see it. That was your trail markers. So thankfully, the volunteers have gotten back out here. I mean, this is the trail. Like, just pick your way through these rocks. But thankfully, you can follow these blue blazes now, which should make it a little easier. But yeah, a lot of this section here from the connector, I think it's about a mile north. You're really just kind of picking your way through these rocks. Not a big deal, but you're just gonna have to slow down and pay attention. That's the main thing. I don't want to see no snake pop his head out of these little dens. That'd be a bad day. All right, so I'm gonna show y'all as much of this as I can, but I'm also gonna have to be particular about watching what I'm doing. So looks like it goes up this way. And you can hear those rocks rolling underneath me. All right, I see blue blazes up here. Really just kind of keep that same elevation as you going along this ridge, and you'll be all right. I'm really glad they repainted these blazes. And I've been through here several times, but still get a little sidetracked, I guess. Oh, a side note, I told y'all wrong that my last hike was last October in North Georgia. That is incorrect. I think it was, I forget exactly when it was, maybe December, November. I Uncle Jeff and I had gone to hike the walls of Jericho. And for those of you that are looking for a challenge, go do that after it rained. You know what? I take that back. That is terrible advice. That is some of the most sketchy hiking along that creek bed. And the first couple of miles, I guess, is downhill. And it's an out and back, so guess what that means? That last couple of miles back up to your vehicle, whoops, is all uphill. And the payoff, once you get to Walls of Jericho, is worth it. It is something I hadn't seen before. It's a really, really neat spot to go see. So if you ever get the opportunity, matter of fact, just give it a goog and look at the pictures. Walls of Jericho. It's in the northwest corner of the state of Alabama, and it is well worth the trip. Go ahead and plan yourself about 6 hours to be out there, just taking your time. I think the total hike is 7. Call it 8 so that I don't cheat you. But it is well worth it. Plan a half a day and go do it. All right. No more ads, I promise. I do want to give a shout out to the Pinhoti Trail volunteers in this area. Thank you so much for these new blazes. I, for one, really appreciate it. All right, y'all, something I wanted to show you. So I'm still looking northbound on the Pinhoti, and you can see we're kind of just floating along the edge of this. Like, there's the top of the ridge right there, and we're kind of just floating along here. We've gotten through the worst of that minefield, but what I wanted to show you is this. So that's McDill Point. It's on that ridge over there, but we've got to go backtracking. We've got to continue on straight through here, and then the hill kind of rolls around to that. And there's not a lot of elevation change between here and there. It may dip down a little bit and come back up towards the end there, but yeah, that's where we're going for a snack or lunch, depending on how hungry I am, whatever. All right, well, let's get to stepping. We're still winding our way north on the Pinhoti, and should be here in just a little bit. We start kind of making a sweeping left turn along the ridge to start working our way what will be in a south direction, but still north on the Pinhoti as we get out to McDill Point. And we'll stop by and take a look at that plane crash before we get out to the point. That's always a interesting and sad point of interest, but we will stop there and take a look at that. Hey, pick your feet up, son. I must be getting tired. I've only gone 4 miles. It's not that far. I've noticed it a couple of times while being out here today that it's so quiet that you'll hear what sounds like a deer running off in the woods, and you look over and it's just a squirrel. It'll startle you for a second because it's so quiet. And you look up and it's a little squirrel messing with you. Haven't seen any chipmunks today. Usually see a bunch of chipmunks out here, but I've seen probably a dozen squirrels so far. All right. I'll check back in. later. And there's a there's a camp spot. I'm gonna stop up here and show y'all a little story that goes with it. All right. All right. So we have exited the Cheaha wilderness. I know that's just a national forest boundary or that kind of thing, because as you can tell, I'm still in the woods. But we're about to be making that sweeping left-hander to get on the next ridge and work our way out to the point. That is the point of interest. All right, so I wanted to show y'all another stealth camp spot, which is about a half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile short of McDill Point. And there's no water here, but there's a fire ring. And I mean, there's a couple of tent spots. But what's interesting about this place is, and I'll tell you all the stories when I get back to walking. A few years ago, I was doing this exact hike. I think I was by myself. And what caught me about that spot was there was one of those red folding canvas chairs sitting there, and some empty liquor bottles, some of those little, I guess they're 2 ounce, maybe a half dozen of those, and a machete. And of course, the first thing I'm thinking was, man, there was a crime committed here last night. The fire pit was cold, and there was no other signs other than, and the chair was still like unfolded, like, you know, just have a seat. And Isaac, that's for you. And some empty liquor bottles, and a machete. Now, I can see the reason for all 3 of those things. Although carrying one of those canvas chairs all the way out here, because you're a minimum of 3 miles to your car. So somebody carried that thing all the way out here. And maybe that was base camp, but I didn't see any. There's no packs, no tents, no. Of course, there was other trash, food bags, and that kind of thing. But of all the random things, one of those collapsible canvas chairs. Oh, and here's another. Actually, I'm sorry. This is the spot where I saw all the stuff. And for what it's worth, this is a terrible tent spot. It is not flat anywhere. And there's no water. Yeah, so let me know what y'all think. All right. So we are almost to the turnoff to McDill Point. I think it's actually right here. But on the way down, we'll take a look at this plane crash, because there are pieces strewn The tail is up here. I think over the years people have been moving pieces and throwing them even further. I think it happened in 1972. 2 people, no survivors. That's part of the tail. And actually, it's a really nice camp spot right here. There's part of the tail. There's some more of it down there. Now, if you come up here, you cannot miss it. Cannot miss it. You will not walk by it. So the McDill point overlook is 0.25 off Pinhoti. Pinhoti northbound continues that way. All those nice, pretty, fresh blue blazes. And we're gonna walk down here. All right, right down here's the rest of it. Fuselage and such. The engine block is gone and all of that. So somebody got that out of here. Of course, all the electronics are gone, but fuselage, wings, all that's still here. And again, you can't miss this. It's if you turn out off the Pinhoti heading down towards McDill Point, you'll come right by it. Not a big airplane, but crash site nonetheless. All right, let's walk out here and check this point out. All right, boys and girls, this is the McDill Point quote-unquote campsite. Me and 3 other fellas stayed here last June, and we got caught in a severe thunderstorm, which made the trip very interesting and very memorable, to say the least. The unfortunate thing is there are spots here that, even though you're up top, do kind of hold water. So you got to be mindful of that. But there are several tent sites on the spot, and several hammock spots. Yeah, let's walk out on this ridge, or out on this point. We're going to start on the left side. I have camped here, I think 3 different times. And one night I looked at the temperatures, but I did not look at the wind. It was bad windy all night. You could hear the trees creaking against each other. Safe to say that was a restless night. And then the last time I was here, like I said a while ago, with the severe thunderstorm, but as soon as that blew over, it was just fine. All right, y'all, check this out. So we crossed over the ridge. Let's see if I can point this out. Somewhere right in here, and dropped down and went along through here. and then looped around there and then came back up that direction. So I think that spot there is Stairway to Heaven, leading up the side of that hill. And that's a pretty good little climb. All right, let's walk around to this other side. By the way, side note, check out this tent spot. I think my Durston would fit there. It is very flat. It's nice and sandy. And that's your view. It is still overcast right now. But the trail is giving us a view, so that's good. All right, now I'll walk around and show y'all the other side. All right, this is the west side, is the best side of McDill Point. You could hammock camp down here, but it's not, there's nowhere flat enough right in here to pitch a tent. So anyway, I will show y'all the view. That's looking southwest. I know you can't see it, but Sylacauga and Talladega are out that way. I think Mumford. And then Anniston, Oxford is up that way. You can see it at night, but yeah, once the sun starts to dip, you can see the lights coming on off in the distance. Well, I debated on it. I think it's either 2 or 2.5 miles from being done. But you know what? I'm going to have lunch right here. Got me a little beef lasagna. Plenty of water, plenty of time. And I added something to my loadout. I done brought me a chair. So, I don't have to sit on the rocks. So we're gonna get a little water boiling. Get that going. Rehydrate this meal. Got me a little country music going. That's the spot right there, boys. I'll get back with you. All right. Lunch is about to be ready. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. All right, step 1. Step 2, don't burn yourself, son. This ain't the place for that. All right, we're having, beef lasagna. In case I didn't mention that. Short-term memory loss will get you. So very carefully. I don't need to tell nobody this pot is hot. All right, all right. A little stir action going on in here. And we're gonna have some fine Italian dining out here in the middle of nowhere, in the wilderness. Yeah, oh, that smells good. So, 12 ounces of water is all that takes. And if you can't carry 12 ounces of water, I don't know what to tell you. That is gonna be good. So the directions say to seal that up for 4 or 5 minutes. And then we're gonna stir it again and let it sit for another 4 or 5 minutes. And in the meantime, y'all see so I got my Osprey day pack. I actually won that from a mountain bike race. It was sponsored by Terrapin Beer. Man, that thing has come in handy. So, speaking of, I'll just show y'all my loadout. So one thing I added to my my day pack is brought me a chair out here, so I don't have to sit on the rocks. And I got my 750 milliliter Toaks titanium pot. I forget what kind of stove that is. It's similar to the MSR Pocket Rocket. And I know that can is almost out of fuel, so I brought another one. 110 grams. Got my titanium spork. A couple snacks. I did bring 2 liters of water. A trimmed down emergency kit. And there's a couple other things with snacks in the bag. I mean, you always want to kind of over prepare, I guess. I mean, I've got enough calories between this and snacks and candy and stuff. If I had to stay out here for a couple of days, I'd be all right. I wouldn't want to. No, not with just that and no shelter. But anyway, so just wait on that to rehydrate, and we'll let that stove cool off. We'll pack all that back up, and in the meantime, we're just gonna hang out. I think that's a pretty good lunch spot. What do y'all think? All right. Lunch is done. The beef lasagna, pretty good. I do wish that I would have had some garlic bread with that. That'd have been a banger. But anyway, and the great thing about those dehydrated meals is, like, I just took all the little tearaway top, my paper towels, all the trash just goes in that, zip it back up. So all my garbage from lunch is in that, and I'll toss that in the can on the way out. And that's a done deal. So I'm about to pack up. Really hate to leave this spot. But anyway, back to reality. So I will check in when I get rolling. All right. All right. All packed up, leave no trace. They say leave it better than you found it, but I don't know that there's anything I could do. Maybe put a bench right here. Left my 2x4s at home. All right. So that is McDill Point. And we're going to tell it bye for now. But we'll be back. All right, let's get to stepping. We got 2.5 5-ish miles to finish out the loop. Now, if you wanted to come the short way, you could just backtrack what I'm about to do instead of doing the, I think I'm at mile, call it 5.25, coming around Cave Creek and then up the Pinhoti to get here. So you can backtrack all that and make it a solid 10, obviously. But I'm gonna make the whole loop. I think it's 7.5 or 8, I forget. But anyway, so we're gonna go back by the McDill Point campsite. The plane crashed. We'll see all that again. And I'll check back in when we get back up to the Pinhoti. All right, so I've backtracked my 0.25 down the Pinhoti, the McDill Point trail from the Pinhoti, but we've got a situation right here. I'm about to worry about other people coming through, and I mean, we gotta be safe. All right, yeah, that ought to do it. Okay, I feel better to go underneath that. All right, so now back on the Pinhoti Trail, heading north, and this trail will take us back to the truck. Again, I think it's 2.5. And this section does kind of duck and dive around some big rock outcroppings and stuff. There's some weird turns and things, but thankfully, because the volunteers that came out and repainted these blazes, it's a huge help. Much better than it was that first time I came out here, dude. I thought I was gonna be lost. All right, let's get to stepping. All right, y'all. So there's a rock outcropping, maybe 0.3, 0.4 north of the McDill turnoff. That's a really cool spot. It's just a rock that kind of juts out of the side of the hill here. And I was going to show you all that, but there was a hiker there with her dog. Certainly didn't want to interrupt or video with anybody around, because, you know, I didn't want to disturb her day. So spoke and said hello, kept moving. But yeah, it's looked like a really good hammock spot. There's nowhere there to put a tent, and of course there's no water, but it would make a really cool camp spot for a sunset camp, for what it's worth. All right, and speaking of, I know there's another really good spot up here. It's kind of got a little bit of a grassy field, and it's right on the edge of this rock facing, and I'll show you all that when we get there. But anyway, back to it. All right, almost 6 miles in on this loop. That's where we came from. This is a view looking off to the west. And this is the trail. It's basically like just big flagstones kind of walking on here. Nothing terribly technical, just watch your step, pick your feet up. No big deal. The views here along this left side are great. I mean, you can stop at any number of spots and just stop, take a break, take in the views. If you wanted to get creative, you got these rock outcroppings you can just hang out on. Watch out for the snakes. You know, those bad boys are hanging out in these rocks, especially in the summer, absorbing all that heat. So I would be mindful of that. It's a cool trail because you make these turns and you see on spots like this. All right, so you can see that hill up in the distance. That is Hernandez Peak. And this trail goes straight up with maybe a couple of switchbacks, but it doesn't skirt the thing. It goes straight up and over it. And that's one big obstacle to get back to the parking lot. And of course, if you're coming the other way, it's kind of your one obstacle to get out to McDill Point. But yeah, Hernandez Peak, I think it's the third highest peak in the state. Cheaha #1, and Mount Duggar up near Piedmont, I think is #2. Don't correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And then I think it's Hernandez Peak is #3. So we're gonna go up and over that. I couldn't tell you the elevation. Guessing maybe 2,600. I think Cheaha's 2,800 and some change. And Mount Duggar is pretty close. Just short of being #1. But anyway, I digress. Well, we're about to tackle that in just a bit. I'll take y'all with me if I don't trip and fall first. All right, let's go. All right, so I should have just kept it rolling. I'm not 50 yards from where I turned it off last time. So this is the start of Hernandez Peak. And if I can, I'm gonna take y'all the whole way, bottom to top, just so y'all can see this thing. And I'll try to keep the phone level. I mean, it's not pick your feet up, son. It's not a terrible climb. I would describe it as punchy, as it does hit, but it's just not really long. Just kind of get in a low gear and get after it. Thing got me sweating, son. I'm breathing hard too. Like I said, that's a nice little punchy climb. And as far as this whole loop goes, that's the only what I'd classify as a climb. The other uphills just kind of drag. You know, it's not, you know, like climbing stairs or anything. It's just dragging up hills. I don't mind either. I actually like those short, punchy ones. They really wake you up, for what it's worth. And I can only assume that placard honoring Bill Nichols is quote-unquote summit. And maybe I'm on it now. But anyway. All right. That's where we came from. Coming down Hernandez Peak. It's now I've never gone this direction, but it looks like a pretty good drag going this way with a nice little punch right at the end. You'd almost be hand over hand going up that. But then, so I'm at 7 miles into my loop, and there's a water source here. I would call it unreliable or seasonal, maybe. I have been by here, and it'd be just bone dry. So for what it's worth, I would not count on getting water here. And it's about, I guess, coming the other direction, maybe a mile-ish. So, but there's water here today, for what it's worth. All right. Well, let's get to stepping. All right. So, we're looking south here, and that mountain right there is Hernandez Peak. And McDill Point is on the other side of that little knob right there. And that's where we came from. Kind of going along that ridge and then up and over that, down that, and then here. Now, what I wanted to show y'all, check out this camp spot. I mean, if you're one of those that wants a sunset camp spot, you got, let's see, you could put a tent here, and there's a few, well, the hammock spot here. I don't think it's going to be too crowded though. I think there's some tent spots back over in there, but I've seen several these YouTubers come out and camp here, and one fellow, bless his heart, he got caught up here in a thunderstorm, and he made it. It was a little sketchy, but yeah. And I think if you're coming from the parking lot, the Cheaha Trailhead parking lot, and you take the Pinhoti, I think this is the first spot you come to. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to get some water. I had to stop and get a rock out of my shoe anyway. I'm going to get some water, and we're going to go ahead and finish this thing up. So this is the Pinhoti as we're getting close to finishing up. Maybe a half mile left to get to the get back to the Cheaha Trailhead parking lot. It's a really good loop. I enjoy it. It's long enough that you get your good little workout in, and I mean, stop and have lunch like I did, or just roll right on through, whatever you want to do. I've only seen 2 other people out here. There was a fella that was walking up to that last camp spot at that overlook. As I was walking away, I had walked back in the woods just checking to see if there was any other tent spots nearby, and there's a couple. None of them look like they would be very comfortable though, whether it's a slight angle or rocky or what have you. I think for you hammock campers, There are several options back there, but for us tent campers, not so much. One, maybe two. So just be aware of that. And also, anywhere on this loop, I would plan to just bring your own water. Yeah, there is that one water source that is reliable, the Cave Creek, coming through that one cut, but that's it. As far as reliable water, that's it. So just work that into your plan. All right, we're almost back to the parking lot. I'll give it y'all then. All right, about to finish up. Looks like they put a new Pinhoti sign right here. Thank y'all very much. And we're going down here to Cave Creek Trail and parking. All that really is just the connector back to the Cave Creek Trail. Just goes down this hill and back to the parking lot. All right, y'all, we made it back right at 8 miles. One thing I didn't tell y'all was I left my trekking pole at McDill Point. I got all the way up. Well, it wasn't that far. I got back to the plane crash, and then it hit me that I didn't have my trekking pole. So, turned around and went and got that. That might have added 3 tenths, but no big deal. And anyway, so we're back to You Are Here. And yes, I am here. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed that. That's just a little day hike I like to do. Come out and just hang out, get some hiking in, and get some therapy. And yeah, so anyway, hope y'all enjoyed that. See y'all later.